When we think of Europe's great wars, we often recall the Napoleonic campaigns or the 30 Years' War. But one of the longest and most significant struggles in European history is often forgotten: the 80 Years' War. It began as a rebellion, evolved into a revolution, and ended in the creation of a new nation, the Dutch Republic. From 1568 to 1648, the Netherlands fought to free itself from Spanish rule, resisting one of the most powerful empires in the world. This war would reshape European borders, disrupt Catholic hegemony, and signal the rise of a republic built on trade, tolerance, and innovation. This is the story of how a rebellion in a swampy corner of Europe changed the world. In the 16th century, the 17 provinces of the Low Countries, today's Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, were ruled by King Philip II of Spain. Wealthy, urbanized, and fiercely independent, the Dutch chafed under Spanish centralization, heavy taxation, and religious persecution. Protestantism, especially Calvinism, was spreading quickly. Philip II, a devout Catholic, responded with force. The Council of Troubles, or Council of Blood, executed thousands of suspected heretics and rebels. Dutch nobles and commoners alike were alarmed. When La Morelle, Count of Egmont, and Philip de Montmorency were publicly executed in 1568, it galvanized resistance. The revolt had begun, and the Spanish Empire would learn that even small nations could rise. The rebellion was led by William of Orange, known as William the Silent. A Catholic turned Protestant, William united both religious groups under a common cause: freedom from Spanish control. In 1568, he led troops into the Low Countries, beginning the first phase of the war. The Battle of Heiligerlee marked an early victory, but the tide quickly turned. Spanish General Fernando Alvarez de Toledo, the Duke of Alva, responded with unmatched brutality. Cities were razed, civilians punished, and Protestantism violently suppressed. William fled but continued to rally support. His vision was not just political, it was a fight for religious tolerance and regional autonomy, ideas that would define the Dutch identity for centuries. While land forces struggled, help came from the sea. The Sea Beggars, a fleet of Dutch privateers, harassed Spanish supply lines and launched coastal attacks. In 1572, they captured the town of Brielle, a symbolic moment that reignited rebellion across Holland and Zeeland. Cities declared for the revolt, and Spanish forces found themselves overextended. For the first time, the Dutch had territory to defend. The movement was gaining legitimacy. William of Orange was declared stadtholder of several provinces. This decentralized form of governance, where power came from cities and provinces rather than a monarch, laid the groundwork for the future Dutch Republic. In 157 and 75, the Spanish besieged Leiden, hoping to crush the heart of Dutch resistance. Food ran out, disease spread, and the situation became desperate. But the Dutch had a radical plan. They would break the dikes and flood their own lands to drive out the enemy. The seabackers sailed through the flooded fields, and the Spanish, unprepared for naval assault inland, retreated. Leiden held out. As a reward for their heroism, William of Orange founded Leiden University, a beacon of freedom and scholarship. The siege became a legend, proof that with unity and innovation, the Dutch could outlast a mighty empire. By the late 1570s, the war reached a political turning point. In 1579, 7 northern provinces signed the Union of Utrecht, a pact of mutual defense and cooperation. This marked the formal foundation of what would become the Dutch Republic. In 1581, through the Act of Abjuration, they officially renounced allegiance to King Philip II. Meanwhile, the southern Catholic provinces, modern-day Belgium, remained loyal to Spain. The Low Countries were split by ideology, faith, and ambition. What began as a rebellion had become a civil war, and a new nation was emerging, forged in the fires of prolonged conflict. Tragedy struck in 1584, when William of Orange was assassinated in Delft by a pro-Spanish zealot. It was the first assassination of a head of state using a handgun. His death could have shattered the rebellion, but instead it fueled it. His son, Maurice of Nassau, took command and transformed the Dutch military. Maurice adopted cutting-edge tactics and engineering, turning the Dutch army into a professional force. Under his leadership, key cities like Breda and Deventer and Groningen were taken. The Dutch built advanced fortifications and used rivers and terrain to their advantage. Maurice's campaigns were not only military victories, but symbols of Dutch innovation and tenacity. By the late 1500s, the 80 Years' War had become part of a larger European conflict. England, led by Queen Elizabeth I, supported the Dutch with troops and money. France, once an enemy, began to lean toward the Protestant cause. Spain, fighting wars in Italy, Portugal, and against the Ottoman Empire, was stretched thin. Meanwhile, the Dutch Republic expanded globally, establishing trade routes in Asia. The Dutch East India Company was born in 1602, creating an economic empire that rivaled Spain's. The war was no longer just about independence, it was about dominance in trade, politics, and influence. After decades of shifting alliances and exhausting campaigns, a broader peace finally arrived. In 1648, the Peace of Westphalia ended both the 30 Years' War and the 80 Years' War. Spain officially recognized the independence of the Dutch Republic. The war was over. The Netherlands emerged not only free but also wealthy, powerful, and respected. Amsterdam became a global hub for commerce and culture. The Dutch Golden Age began, marked by the works of Rembrandt, Vermeer, and a flourishing of science and trade. What started as a revolt had reshaped the map of Europe. The 80 Years' War left a deep imprint on world history. It established the Dutch Republic as a model for religious tolerance, economic innovation, and decentralized governance. It challenged the divine right of kings and laid the foundation for modern liberal democracies. The Dutch defiance of Spanish rule inspired future revolutions, including those in America and France, but the war also brought immense suffering, division, and the enduring split between what we now call the Netherlands and Belgium. Above all, it proved that even a small, fragmented people could change the world, when united by purpose and fueled by an unshakable desire for freedom. If you're passionate about forgotten history and powerful stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to join us for more epic journeys into the past.